The Cayman Islands are a group of 3 tiny islands in the Caribbean Sea. In this series, we show you some of our favorite places and experiences on the island of Grand Cayman, where Cassandra is from and where we lived for several years. We will take you to the world-famous Georgetown Harbor in the capital of Cayman, fly high over some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, take you snorkeling over incredible coral reefs, visit a gorgeous national park where you can go horseback riding on the beach, take you around to all of our favorite beaches on the island, swim with huge and gentle southern stingrays, hang out with a friendly sea turtle, get up close with giant endangered blue iguanas, and show you some of our favorite places to hang out on the island. We are Scott and Cassandra, the Forever Explorers, and these are our Cayman Adventures.
It always feels magical when we descend out of the clouds on our Cayman Airways flight and catch a glimpse of the beautiful island of Grand Cayman, standing barely above the surface of the deep blue Caribbean Sea. It looks so small, as if it couldn't possibly hold all of the life, love, and memories I carry from spending the first 16 years of my life here, then living here for more than 6 years with Scott and her children. For me, coming back here is like recharging a battery. It's a place where I belong, where my ancestors have been for generations, and where I feel an instant, familiar sense of support. That feeling becomes more pronounced as I get older. As we come in for a landing, everything starts to look so much larger, and I begin to see large cruise ships anchored offshore of Georgetown Harbor. I see buildings and streets that I remember, and I often see some that I don't remember that have been built only recently. Larger hotels and other buildings appear every time I come here as the island infrastructure expands to accommodate more tourists and more residents. I'll always see much of it the way I remember it many years ago, when it was a quieter place, not yet discovered by most people of the world for the true paradise that it is.
As we land, we see how much longer the runway is now than it used to be 10 years ago, when there were ponds and grassy areas leading up to the runway. The runway was recently extended to accommodate the larger jets coming in from the United Kingdom and other distant places. The airport terminal building has also been dramatically renovated within the last 10 years. It is now a new, modern design, and we will always reminisce about how the old building had triangular roofs that people could stand under on a balcony overlooking the runway as they waited for their guests and loved ones to arrive.
In 2016, I was waiting right here with my parents for a plane to arrive and didn't realize at the time that it was the last time that I would be up here, looking over the runway before they closed off this balcony and built the new terminal building. The new building is beautiful, of course, but being up here, waving to people arriving on the island, was a special experience that we will always miss.
The Cayman Islands is a self-governing British overseas territory made up of 3 small islands located about 150 miles south of Cuba and 167 miles northwest of Jamaica. Grand Cayman is the westernmost and the largest island, while Little Cayman and Cayman Brac are the smaller islands, often called the sister islands. Grand Cayman is about 90 miles away from the sister islands, while Little Cayman and Cayman Brac are only about 5 miles apart from each other. We have visited the smaller islands in the past, but for this trip, we spent all of our time on Grand Cayman, where most of the Cayman Islands population of about 80,000 residents live. Grand Cayman is about 22 miles long by 8 miles wide at its widest point. The world-famous 7-Mile Beach is located along the western shore of the island, and the North Sound is a quiet body of water on the northwest side, popular for boating, fishing, snorkeling, and swimming with huge stingrays at Stingray City. The airport is located next to the North Sound at the edge of the city of Georgetown, the capital of the Cayman Islands. In this episode, we will take you on a short drive through Georgetown And then we will head out to one of our favorite locations called Public Beach to see if we can catch an incredible sunset.
We exited our plane to a beautiful view of the new terminal building. At this small airport, passengers exit the plane onto stairs or a ramp and walk on the tarmac to get to the terminal building. We immediately felt the Caribbean vibes with a warm breeze and a view of swaying palm trees. The immigration line here is usually not long, and we made it through very quickly, grabbed our luggage, and excitedly met my parents in the waiting area. My dad was there with a papa cam, and he and Scott faced off with their cameras to see who could get the best footage. Here is a view of our reunion from the papa cam.
After exiting the airport, Cassandra's parents took our luggage and our two sons in their car, while Cassandra and I walked over to the adjacent car rental building to rent a car. There are taxis and public buses on the island, but more than one occasional taxi ride is expensive, and the public bus schedule is not as convenient or frequent as in many big cities around the world, so we normally get around by car. This was our first time renting a car here, though, because we planned on visiting many sites this time and wanted to have the freedom to go anywhere at any time. We are renting a car for our very first time in the Cayman Islands.
Well, let's see how it goes.
Even though we've been here many times, we've lived here, we're renting a car for the first time.
We're in this in-between world of we're not really tourists, but we're not full-time residents anymore, so it feels odd to rent the car. But we have all the major car rentals and a few local ones as well. And I'm about to go to Hertz to rent a car. We have Avon, National, Enterprise, Hertz, all that. And we drive on the left.
Yes, we do. Yes, they do. All right, we're in our rental car. It was a very good experience. We rented from Hertz, and they were very nice, and it was very, very smooth, easy to get the car. So we're happy with that. So here we are. Cassandra's trying to remember to drive on the left. She keeps saying, drive on the left, drive on the left.
I got it now.
I'll do the same thing when I start driving. She's driven more recently than me, but it's been several years. How many years?
Well, I drive every time I visit. I drive, and
yeah.
Honestly, from birth, when we would travel from here to visiting the United States, my dad would always rent a car, and visiting back and forth, I just got used to. Okay, you drive on the right in the US, that's the way it looks, and then once I'm back home, you drive on the left. So it would feel odd to be on the right here. The cars would be coming at me.
Exactly. And the steering wheel is on the right, so this is the proper type of drive for this for driving on the left. The steering wheel should be on the right. Sometimes there are American cars here. Some people drive American cars where the steering wheel is on the left, like it is in the United States, and then that makes it a little bit trickier, I think. But since the steering wheel is on that side, you're in a different type of car, and it's easier to remember to drive on the left. So here we are. We're leaving the airport. You can see a beautiful sunset in the distance. Too bad we're not on the beach right now.
On a different day, we took a drive through downtown Georgetown, along the beautiful harbor where cruise ships come in. If you visit Grand Cayman on a cruise, this is where you will arrive. Cruise ship passengers usually stay on the island for 8 or 9 hours, but it can be as short as 4 hours. And they might only get to see the small downtown area, or might get a chance to take one excursion to a beach or other location. This is a convenient way to visit the island, but it is not a good way to experience what Grand Cayman is really like. If you ever have the opportunity, We highly recommend traveling deeper and spending several nights on the island, experiencing as much of it as possible.
We've been to several great restaurants on the waterfront here, and we can highly recommend some of them. For great local seafood, you can go to the Lobster Pot or Guy Harvey's Island Grill. For great Italian and seafood, you can go to Casanova by the Sea, or for casual dining and drinks right on the water, you can go to Rackham's Waterfront. Just a few minutes north of the cruise ship terminal is the Wharf Restaurant and Bar, where you can get fantastic seafood and other dishes sitting by the water. And a bit farther south is the Grand Old House for fine dining on the water.
Going inland a bit from the waterfront downtown along Fort Street, you can find more shops, and then you'll see some significant buildings and historical landmarks, including the House of Parliament, where the Cayman Islands government operates. Past the House of Parliament is the historic 1919 Peace Memorial on the left that commemorates the end of World War I and fallen soldiers, and the Clock Tower, constructed in 1936 in memory of King George V, that my grandfather helped to build. On the right is Hero Square, where the Wall of Honor celebrates Cayman history and important historical figures. Several members of my family are honored here, including my grandfather, William Edison Jackson, a pioneer in construction and mechanical and electrical engineering. He contributed to building the clock tower, most of the town halls in Cayman, and he installed the first generator on the island and built the first windmill for generating electricity at home. My other grandfather, Edward Rabe Arch, is also honored here as a church pastor, and he and his brothers were shipbuilders and construction workers. There's also a monument here called Aspiration, or Steps to Equality, honoring the 358 Caymanian women, including my grandmother and several other women from my family, who signed the 1957 petition for women's right to vote.
On the left, we see the historic Georgetown Public Library, the main branch of the Cayman Public Library System, built in 1939. On the right, not shown here, are the law courts and courthouse building. In this area, there are also several banks and business offices, as Cayman is an international banking center. Then, as we approach the waterfront again along Shedden Road, we see the new Emancipation Center, aimed at educating the public about the abolition of slavery. And just beyond that is the National Museum of the Cayman Islands that has many educational displays and events about the history of Cayman. That was a quick tour of what the downtown area of Georgetown has to offer, but there is much more to do here that we will show you in future episodes.
Back on the main road along the waterfront now, called Harbor Drive, you can see a series of tents along the left where local fishermen regularly bring in and sell fresh fish. Early morning is the best time to find them here with the freshest catch. Continuing along the waterfront, we see Casanova by the Sea, and then Rackham's, two restaurants that we mentioned earlier. Then we get to the Burger King with some of the best views in the world. And finally, the Lobster Pot restaurant. Toward the end of the day, we wanted to go to one of our favorite locations along 7 Mile Beach called the Public Beach to watch the sunset off the west coast of the island. It takes about 10 minutes to drive here from Georgetown. We made it just in time to walk out to the water and see the sun just at the edge of the horizon. We just kept walking straight out into the water and stood there in awe until the sun was gone, leaving behind an incredible afterglow. I can't think of a more perfect way to end the day.
In our next episode, we hop aboard a private charter into the North Sound with island splash water sports. We cruise out on the beautiful turquoise water and then go snorkeling at a shallow sandbar called Stingray City. We spend about an hour swimming around with giant wild stingrays that gently glide by in the shallow, clear water. Jason, our boat captain and owner of Island Splash Water Sports, is an expert at gently interacting with the stingrays and shows us how to feed and interact with them in a safe way. He even explains the differences between male and female stingrays. These smaller ones are males. Then we get back on the boat and head over to Rum Point Reef to do some snorkeling over the beautiful coral reef teeming with tropical fish. At this reef, we even meet a friendly sea turtle that seems perfectly happy hanging around the boats and swimmers. Then we make our last stop at a shallow water beach referred to as Starfish Point, where we see several large starfish crawling around across the sand. After an amazing day on and in the water, we head back to the harbor and chat with Jason about our exciting day and the other experiences that Island Splash Water Sports offers. We've spent a lot of time in the Cayman Islands, and this has been one of our favorite experiences so far. See you in the next episode. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel.